welcome back to Nicks and Acts. I am Maria, and today I'm going to be showing you a really quick tutorial on how to make this beautiful framed decorative piece for your home. It could be used indoor or outdoors. I am going to show you how to do one with a different look, same concept, but I wanted to show you how you can customize it to whatever fits with your home. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we have a frame, we need a frame. Now, this is a super long, it's about 4 feet long frame that I actually took from a mirror that I used to place in my bathroom. And I think this is a really pretty piece, and it would be really bad to throw it out in the trash. So you can use something like this, or you can find any frame, any size frame, and the concept would be the same. So we're gonna need a frame. Then we're also going to need your decorations. In this case, I'm going to use these beautiful gold spheres. You can do any color, customize it however it fits in your home. I'm gonna use gold. I like just how it will all be cohesive, one color note. And then I'm also going to be using some decorative lights. These are LED lights. I want to show you. I've got 2 different kinds here. So this one right here is, this one I found at the Dollar Tree, 99 cents. They don't come with batteries, but you know, it's just 2 AA batteries. And then I also have, which is the piece that I'm going to be using, is this like 19.5 foot long, really long LED piece. And this is a lot more heavy duty. It'll probably last me longer. Batteries will also last me a little bit longer on this one. And this particular kind of LED light has 8 different types of settings. So I can do like twinkle, I can do slow glow and all that. So I thought it would be perfect for what I'm going to be using it for. So this is, you know, an option. If you don't want to add lights to it, you don't have to, but just, you know, another idea. I love lighting with those decorative holiday pieces, so you can certainly add that, but keep it out if you don't want to use that. I'm also going to be using, this is the Omniflex 50-pound fish hook line. So I want it to be transparent. I want it to seem like they're just you know, hanging from the frame, and so I thought this would be perfect because it's not as visible. I think it's great. However, if you have a really nice decorative, whether it's a string, whether it's a ribbon that's fairly thin, like I did with this one, also a good idea to do. Then we're gonna need a bow, and I'm gonna use the same bow I used for this, or the same ribbon. And so this I'm gonna show you how I made it, but then you can also buy a pre-made one. Dollar Tree has plenty of those right now for the holidays, so easy to get. I also am going to be using some hot glue gun, some scissors, and I've got these cute little foam, and it's gold toned little decorative holly kind of berries. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to add them into the bowl, but you can feel free to use whatever you would like. Okay, so we're going to start by cutting the fishing line to the size that you want the spheres to hang, or your decoration. So for me, I love, similar to what I did here, I love the length, not all the way down, maybe 3/4 of a way from the floor, and then just a step up for the middle sphere, and then a step up higher for the shorter sphere. So I measured my frame same way. So longest and a little bit shorter, and then the shortest one. You can do whatever direction you would like. If you want to start with a longer one here and kind of go vertical that way, you can do that. So, you know, it's your, use your own judgment on what's going to work best for your piece. So I have the longest piece here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hot glue to the back the tip of that sphere. And what I'm doing is I'm calculating about where is going to be the center where the 3 pieces are gonna land. So I want about, I'd say about 1.5 inches away from the corner. So that's what I'm gonna do first. I'm gonna hot glue there, and we are gonna need to make sure it actually glues fairly good in there, because you don't want those spheres to fall off, especially if you're gonna use it outdoors, where maybe you're gonna be in the area where there's lots of wind. You want to make sure that it stays in place. And I need to add a little bit more to my hot glue gun. There we go. So we'll start with that little bead there. Actually, a fairly big bead, because I want to make sure it stays in place. Give it a little help there so that it dries quickly. So I'm just gonna set that down, let it dry. I do have to hold it down because the fish line, as you can see, it wants to kind of go back and spring back up into its place. And so we need to make sure that this stays flat on the back. So it's not visible, so it doesn't stand up, it's not visible on the top. And I think, nope, I need a little bit more time here. You can also use, a heavy duty type of glue, but then you're gonna need to wait longer for it to set. So up to you if you wanna maybe just reassure with some additional of that heavy duty glue, you can do that as well. And yep, I think that's good there. So now I'm gonna add the middle piece. There we go. Let me move these out of the way. And so we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna wrap it. I'm gonna look for sort of the center now, because that's gonna be the middle one. And then I'm going to wrap it from the front to the back. I'm gonna set this down to help me secure it in place. And trying to move it out of the way because it springs back. And then when it springs back, it wants to get stuck with my hot glue. So I gotta make sure, setting it in place right. And again, give it a little extra help so it dries faster. Okay, and I'm gonna go back. So once I do the third one, I'm gonna go back to that first one, and then to the second one, and then lastly to the third one, to add a few more drops of that hot glue gun to make sure it's, this string is not gonna go anywhere. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, so the decorative or the decoration that you choose, this one that I have is very lightweight, so hardly has any weight to it, which is perfect. But if you have maybe a decoration that's a lot heavier, could be maybe crystal, keep that in mind, because you want to make sure that the fishing line is completely secured in there so it doesn't fall off. Okay, now I'm going to do the last piece. So you'll notice that the back of the frame, it's like all different colors and looks really bad. Don't worry about that. We're going to use some of that ribbon to cover the back. So it's going to look pretty. Nobody will even notice what's going on back there. Okay, so last piece, I'm going to again look at the distance. So I had said about 1.5 inches away from the corner, and that's what I'm going to be doing for this one right here. Okay, all right, and then once this dries, again, I'm going to go back to the last two I did, and then finally this third one, and to add a few more of that hot glue. So once this dries, we'll be right back, and I'll show you what we do next. Okay, so now we are adding the spheres to the frame, and I've already started doing one so you could see what it's going to look like. Isn't that so pretty? And so first, now I'm going to go into the middle one. So first I'm going to grab my sphere or my decoration, my ornament, and I'm going to take those sort of standard little ribbons that come with that, or strings. I'm going to take that off because we do not need that. And so then now I'm going to, woo, that was a good shot for you to see. Quick reflexes here. Okay, so then I'm going to put the fishing line through the hole of the top of the decoration, and I'm gonna make a quick knot. Now, I want to make sure that the height of where I'm leaving this is going to fit perfectly with the one that I've already done. So I'm just going to do a really quick knot to see, do I need to do it up higher, lower, and I think that's perfect. So I'm going to leave it there. So what we're going to do here is, before we do a full knot on the top, I'm going to pull off the top of the ornament, and I'm going to tie permanently at the knot into the top. It's just easier to manipulate, if you will, or to do that knot when the sphere is not connected, because the fishing line wants to keep kind of going back to its shape, how it was, you know, tied around that loop, and so it's a little bit tricky to work with it, but we can do it. And so then the other thing I also want to do is I want to add a little bit of that hot glue to that top of the sphere, because then that will help ensure that the top will not separate from the ornament. Again, you want to make sure you give it enough time to dry and for it to be secure. So, I'll put that down carefully. So now I'm going to, so I did 2 knots here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some hot glue to this piece. But before I do that, I don't know if you can see if the camera will actually be able to show. I've got this extra little piece here. I'm going to take that off, and then I'm going to add some hot glue to the top of where I've placed that knot. And again, that will serve as security that this fishing line will not go anywhere. I want to give it some of that extra time to make sure that it's secure. In the meantime, I'm going to do that last piece. So let me straighten this out so I can show you the distance. Check this out. So I've got my first one here, and then I've got my second one. I don't want to pull too much right now because I just added the hot glue there. So second one, a little bit lower than that. And then my third one, which is gonna go down here. So we're gonna do the same thing, repeat that process, and we'll be right back. Okay, so now that we've added the 3 spheres on the top, just as what I did with this one up here, we're going to add the bow. And I found this, what is it? Let me see. 50 yards of ribbon for $7 at Sam's. So this is gonna go a long way. I'm gonna be able to use this in so many projects. And so I am going to be making these pretty big bows, super easy to do. I've already made one here, which is the one we're gonna use, but I wanna show you how I make it. I use, some people will use wire, and I do use wire sometimes. But for this piece, I wanted to use the hot glue gun because there's some, I have to kind of rearrange it. It has really nice wire in on the edges and it helps, but it was a little bit more difficult to manipulate. So I thought maybe the hot glue gun is going to be the best to do that, and it was. So first I'm going to start with one side of the first loop, whatever size you want to make it. If your frame is much smaller, then feel free to use whatever size you want, whatever size ribbon you want. You could use, you know, this sort of medium size. You could use that really wide one. You could even use these really thin strips and make some bows out of that. So with this one, we're going to start with the first side of the bow. We're going to fold over to about halfway, right in the middle of the two sides of the bow. And then I'm going to make a second loop. And this one's going to be longer than the one that's going to be in the front. And I'm going to tuck it in right back here. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing with that second piece. I'm going to wrap a little bit here. That fourth side of the bow, and also tuck it inside. So you can see it's already starting to take shape. Now this is the part why I needed to use the hot glue. At this point, I could use the wire and wrap it around, but it wasn't actually giving me that sort of pretty poof. So what I did is, once I did all that, I kind of cinched, and I took it in like this, and then I wrapped a little piece of that same bow around here, cinched that as well. And so, but before I did that, I went and I hot glued each section. So I hot glued in here, so these two are stuck together. I hot glue in here, so these are stuck together. Did the same thing on the side in the back. Then I wrapped the front piece, and then I sealed it with a little piece of hot glue in the back. Then I cut the two pieces that are hanging in the front, and I just did a quick diagonal cut, and I hot glued in the back. See? And what I liked about also just using this technique instead of the wire is that if I used wire, I need to make sure it's either matching, you know, maybe it had to be like something that had gold in it. If not, I had to go then, you know, try to hide it. And so this was perfect. So now we're going to glue. Let me move my ribbon out the way. Now we're going to glue the ribbon to the top. And look how pretty. Look at that. This is not, I mean, that's stunning just without a bow. But now we're gonna make it even more beautiful. So we're gonna go ahead and add the bow. And this is also gonna be hot glued, and that is going to, now I'm gonna put it right in the middle so that that middle piece stays right in place. See, just like that. So I'm then going to add some of the hot glue first. Move this right where it needs to be. There we go. And place it right there. And hold. So we can secure it perfectly. And look at that. Look at how pretty this is. Got to take all those little pieces of hot glue that are all over the place. So again, just give it a few seconds because you want to make sure that it is secured in there. And then I thought it would be pretty. I'm going to be adding it into that frame as well. But I thought I could add a little bit of that sort of gold holly in the front, in the middle of the bow. So just a little bit of hot glue. And there you go. How pretty is that? Okay? And look at that, guys. This is what, altogether this probably took about 15 minutes And how stunning, how amazing. Now, this is totally optional, as I always say. Do what you want, however you want to do it, however you like it. We're gonna add the lights. So once you figured out where you want to place this, you can actually, let me move this one down and I'll put this one back up so I can add it. So once you figured out where you want to place that, you can then add the lights to it. I am not going to be hot gluing this. I'm going to just work the wire around the frame and the ornaments, because I want to be able to use this lighting and this LED piece of light for, you know, many other projects. So I'm going to just wrap it around or lay it around the frame and the decorations freely. And again, also first figure out where you want to place your decoration, and then you can place these around. You want to try to find a place where you can also place your battery pack that you can hide. So I'm going to do that. So while I undo this mess and put it on the frame, I'm going to do that and we'll be right back. Okay, so take a look. I've placed the two frames together. Even though they have two completely different set of decorations inside the frame, they still pair up very pretty, and it works well. Because I use the gold decorations on this one, and I have some of that gold in this other one, as well as the same bows, I think it works out great. It looks like they actually belong together, but you can certainly, you know, put them in different locations, and you can also just use exactly the same decorations within the frame, the ornaments. So again, as I always say, these videos are just to inspire you and give you some ideas of what you could do. So I hope that you get to try this tutorial, and if you do, please just add a picture into the comments. I would love to see that, or if you have any other ideas of what maybe other folks could do with this concept, please share. I think it would be awesome to be able to share our knowledge about you know, how to create these in different ways. So again, thanks so much. I will see you soon with more ideas that are inexpensive and easy to do for the holidays. Bye.